One of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of us make when marketing our music is assuming that all genres play by the same set of rules. What works for rock music doesn't necessarily work for hip hop music, doesn't necessarily work for lo-fi or electronic or whatever else. There are some common threads that work across the board. Certain platforms work better than others. Certain opportunities work better than others. But each genre has its own sort of niche way of doing things, as well as specific markets that respond to that type of music and specific markets that don't. So here are a few different tools that I use to determine how I'm going to target my audience and market music, either for myself or for my clients, to find the best fit and the best results for spending money on ads. Now, the first step is to determine where an artist's audience is. And a great way to do that is to use Every Noise at once. If you go to everynoise.com, you'll land here on this page. And if we go to other things and then we select genres by country, here we have a detailed breakdown of the highest affinities for genres based on country. So for example, if I want to use Command F to search for music on this page, I can look up, let's say, dubstep music. And this will find all instances of dubstep on this page. So we've got melodic dubstep down here. If I scroll back up to the top of this page, you can see that that's in the United States of America column. If I go to the next one, US, 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 all the first ones are in the United States. So if I have a dubstep artist that I'm promoting, or if I'm promoting my own music, which has traces of dubstep in a few songs, I'll definitely focus my energy on the United States. Second is the United Kingdom. You can see there's an instance of dubstep there. Now let's go with something that's a bit broader. Let's go with hip hop. So hip hop, you can see, is all over the world. No surprise there. Hip hop kind of rules the world these days. But I'm going to focus my energy where there is a presence for hip hop. Now, depending on my subgenre, I might narrow in even more, but you can see I've got options in the US, the UK, Germany, Japan. And if I keep scrolling over, I'm going to come up with more and more countries where my music or an artist's music might find more traction, as opposed to those countries that don't have any hip hop affiliation at all, according to this site. So this tool is a great way to sort of gauge your targeting with your advertising. It's a really good way, especially to avoid targeting countries that really probably aren't going to be listening to your music at all in the first place. You're just going to be wasting your money there if they're not really a lot of fans of your genre of music to begin with. So you might as well focus on the places where people already have an affinity for whatever it is you're doing. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about activities that one might engage in while listening to this specific genre of music, or really specifically this artist. So depending on the genre of music, there are going to be different sort of affiliations with that music. Basically ask yourself, what is a person doing when they're listening to this? So for example, my music has a really big cross section of people who listen to like hard rock and electronic music while they work out. So working out is something that I will pursue as an interest when advertising my songs. Also, I find that gamers are a big cross section of people who listen to my music. So I will target people who like video games. If you're making, let's say, peaceful piano music, you might think about things like meditation or yoga. If you're making hip hop, you might think about people working out too. If you're making country, you might think about people hunting and fishing. These are all things to consider depending on the genre of music that you're trying to promote. And then next, once I've determined where my audience is geographically, what they're doing while listening to my songs, then I want to think about what else are they interested in that would be sort of associated with my genre of music. So let's go back to country music. If we've got a lot of country music fans in the United States and Australia, I'm going to target those two countries. If they're going to be hunting and fishing, I'm going to be targeting those activities. And then odds are they're going to have an affinity for certain brands like, say, Ford, Budweiser, Chevy, things like that that have to do with activities that one might enjoy while listening to country music. If you take my music, for example, I've got a cross section of people who are working out and people who play video games. So in addition to targeting those two things, I'm also going to target things like IGN, which is a gaming magazine, Electronic Gaming Monthly, also a gaming magazine. I'm going to target things maybe like Men's Health or Health and Fitness, stuff like that. All of these things sort of overlap to create a persona of people who are consuming what I do already, so that I can meet them where they already are. And then the final one is the obvious one. So I like to think about other bands and artists within my genre and try to target them with my ads directly if I can, or find sort of tertiary bands and genres that might be associated with those bands if I can't target them directly, and try to target them as well. So I can create this big overlap of people in the countries I want to target them in, for the activities I want to target them for, the interests and affinities I want to target them for, and then the same musical taste And all of this will sort of create this avatar of a listener and hopefully help me have a more effective ad spend for my dollar in the long run. All too often, we like to think of music marketing as just Facebook ads or playlist pitching, but it's a lot deeper than that. It's important to understand who's listening to your music and why. Are you trying to be a successful artist, a household name, or are you trying to just get your music heard if you're making something that doesn't necessarily require you to be the face of it? These are all things to think about, and determining where your audience is and how to capture that attention is going to vary depending on what you make. So it's important to do the psychological work to understand your fan base before you get into the technical parts of which button do I press or which playlist do I pursue. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn a little bit more about how I personally use Facebook ads to promote my music, the technical part, you can watch this video right here. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.